Good day, Bermuda, and welcome. Today, I am pleased to announce a new initiative that will support Bermudians who are pursuing a career in the teaching profession. Joining with me is Ms. Laurel Burns, former member of the Board of Education when the policy was developed, and a BTIP, Bermuda Teacher Induction Program representative, and a former mentor teacher for the Department of Education. In September 2021, the Ministry of Education will offer for the first time a Teacher's Certified Bonded Loan. The purpose of this loan is to provide financial support to Bermudian residents who are enrolled in an approved distance learning teacher certification program. Considered applicants must be currently working in the public school system under exemption status as recommended by the Bec Exemption Committee and who are on track to successfully complete the certification program. As a backdrop, every year the public school system experiences shortages of qualified teachers for specific subject areas. Some of the difficult to fill teaching positions are subject areas of music, drama, physical education, mathematics, English, and foreign languages. To help fill these teaching positions, a Bec Exemption Committee legislated under the Bermuda Educators Council Act 2022 provides recommendations to the Minister of Education for persons who need to be exempted to teach these subjects at schools when they do not hold the prerequisite teaching qualifications as per the Bermuda Educators Council Act. However, while exemptions are provided to persons to teach in the education system, it is vital that we have truly qualified educators. Therefore, persons must commit to pursue a teaching certification within a specified time for the exemption status to continue. This, in several instances, leads to persons who have been granted exemptions to teach in the system and simultaneously pursue their teaching certifications. There are two university teaching certification programs that persons who live on island commonly enroll in to undertake their teaching certification through distance learning. The Bermuda College, in agreement with the university, provides a teaching certification program, TCP, in mathematics, English language, information technology, science, modern languages, history and social studies, geography education. The UK Sunderland University also offers a teaching certification distance learning program in a variety of subject specializations, as well, where persons apply directly to the university for enrollment. The Teaching Certification Program, or TCP, broadly taking subject-focused coursework leading to a degree and participating in a 12-week teaching practicum, which is assessed for successful passing. This results in persons achieving a teaching certification as required by the BEC Act 2002 to be recognized as a qualified educator. The 12-week teaching practicum is considered a period of study, not employment, that parallels that of an overseas student who is undertaking a teaching practicum program. Therefore, during this period, exempted status persons are not remunerated. This has become financially challenging for persons enrolled in the teaching certification program who also have to uphold their household financial responsibilities while adhering to the deadline for completing the teaching certification program. Consequently, we have seen promising potential teachers opt to pursue employment elsewhere rather than finish their teaching certification. To guard against this, the Board of Education was tasked to create a new pathway to enhance the recruitment and development of new teachers. In response, they developed a Teacher's Certification Bonded Loan Career Development Policy. This policy directly aligns with the key outcomes of Plan 2022 in that 90% of teachers are fully certified in their assigned field. The Teacher's Certification Bond Loan Policy supports the Bermudianization of the teachers in the education system by providing limited financial assistance for career transferring professionals to become certified teachers. The loss of salary while completing a 12-week teaching practicum has become a roadblock for persons who have decided to change professions and pursue a career in teaching. By affording a bonded loan to cover living expenses, persons will be able to focus on their teaching practicum experience and successfully complete their teaching certification without financial impediment. The Teacher Certification Bonded Loan is valued up to $4,800 per month for 3 months and is tenable only during the 12-week practicum teaching period. The The applicant has the option to apply for a prefixed amount to borrow and will be responsible for the repayment of all borrowed monies. The bonded loan application process requires the applicant to be a Bermudian, to reside locally, to be 25 years of age or older, and already enrolled in an approved and accredited long-distance teaching certification program. Persons must also be pursuing an area of study that's needed in the public school system, such as music, drama, physical education, mathematics, English, and foreign languages. These were the subjects that were mentioned earlier. Applicants must also be able to effect a bond signed by two sureties. The teacher certification bond loan offering will come into effect in September 2021, and guidelines for applying for the bonded loan as well as the application form will be assessed on the www.forms.gov.bm website. At this time, I would like to hand over to Ms. Laurel Burns, former member of the Board of Education when the policy was developed.
Thank you, Minister, for the opportunity to join today. As a representative of the Bermuda Teacher Induction Program, where mentors support newly qualified teachers during their first 2 years in the classroom, it is exciting to know that a new pathway has been forged to ensure the Bermudianization of our profession. For more than 30 years, the Bermuda Teacher Induction Program has inducted a wide array of educators, ranging from graduates who pursued a career in education immediately after completing their senior school studies, or persons who may have begun their careers in education as paraeducators, to second career professionals who want to make a difference in the lives of young people. However, as Minister Rabain has stated, we must recognize that for those persons who may have begun their careers in education professionals, the potential of seeking their certification has been limited due to lack of funds. Understandably, working full-time while studying, paying tuition, and happily say that the teacher certification bonded loan opens the door for many of my colleagues to cross the proverbial finish line and become fully certified. As these soon-to-be qualified teachers become tenured professionals in the Bermuda public school system, the Bermuda Teacher Induction Program looks forward to continuing to work with and support them on their path to success. Having only recently completed my tenure on the Board of Education, this is indeed a proud moment to see the hard work of the Board of Education Scholarship Committee come to fruition. When tasked with the challenge of finding a solution for so many aspiring educators, the committee was determined to recommend a fair and viable bonded loan agreement. It was essential to ensure that teachers in training could focus on their practicum experience and achieve success without being concerned about how they will meet their basic household expenses. Additionally, we saw this solution as one that can provide support for many years to come. As the newly qualified teachers repay their loan, they in turn allow for the next Bermudian to access funding to make their dream come true. A true example of collective support for upward mobility. Once again, thank you, Minister, for having me today, and to those considering pursuing the best profession in the world, education, go for it. Bermuda needs you.
Thank you, Mrs. Burns, for your input. In closing, let me emphasize that this initiative to support our Bermudians this is an initiative that is to support our Bermudians who are committed to the education of our children and are pursuing a career in the teaching profession. Therefore, we encourage persons currently exempted to teach in the public school system and who may need the financial support during the undertaking of their 12-week practicum to take advantage of this initiative. We look forward to continuing efforts to the Bermudianization of teachers in the education system. Lastly, Bermuda, each of us has a role to play in stopping the spread of coronavirus. Follow public health guidelines. Wear a mask. Practice good hand hygiene. Maintain physical distance and download the We Health Bermuda app. Do the research. Talk to your doctor and make an informed decision about getting the COVID-19 vaccine. And I thank you, Bermuda, for listening to us. And with that, we'll take some questions.
At this time, we'll go to media questions.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So you mentioned that there's been a shortage of teachers in these areas. Can you give any indication how many teachers you're short of?
At this point, I believe the number of exempted teachers is around 12.
Just 12?
In this particular case, I can't speak to exactly the shortage in those particular fields, but the number of exempted teachers we have is around 12 right now.
Okay. I'm guessing, it's not really an ideal situation not to have somebody that's fully qualified teaching. So are you hoping to see some positive results out of, these teachers being fully qualified? And if so, is there any method that you have in place to sort of monitor the success of this program?
That would fall as, perhaps we didn't give a good explanation of what the BTIP program is, but that is a 2-year induction program for teachers coming into the system where they are monitored for 2 years and given the resources they need to become productive teachers within the system. So that is the monitoring. With the exempted teachers, it is not an easy thing to become exempted to teach without your teaching qualification, and that exemption comes attached with provisions that you have to provide updates on, in most cases on a monthly basis, that come from not only from the teacher that has been exempted, but from the principal at the school as well.
Okay. Do you envisage that there will be salary increases for those who become fully qualified through this?
Anyone that becomes fully qualified will be hired as a teacher, and the salaries will be governed by the current collective bargaining agreement between the Department of Education and the Bermuda Union of Teachers.
Are you envisaging an increase in salary budget at all ahead of this?
Any negotiations of budget of salary increases is done through the collective bargaining agreement, and we have a collective bargaining agreement in place as we speak, and that is what governs the salaries.
Okay, and then just moving around a little bit to educational reform, signature schools. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more training for teachers in that area also. Is the government planning to provide any free training for teachers in this area to prepare for the reforms that we have ahead of us?
As Sarah, you've asked this on numerous occasions, and we've said it on numerous occasions, requirement of our education reform to provide professional development for our teachers.
The question was, is it going to be free for those
We
teachers?
will provide professional development for our teachers.
So free. Is that free of charge?
We provide professional development for our teachers on an ongoing basis. This will be just part of the professional development that is paid for by the department.
Yeah, great.
I'm not
thank you.
understanding why you continue to ask that question.
I just wanted to make 100% sure. And then I had a couple of other questions with regards to the reform again. We had a Patty request in to see the submissions that were made as part of the consultation, and we were due to get answers back yesterday, and we didn't get them back. Is there any clarity you can give us on why there's a delay on that?
Sarah, you would have to ask the person that you submitted the Patty request to.
Okay.
Ministers do not see Patty requests, as you fully well know.
But you would be aware of a deadline for a Patty request information to go out to the public?
As ministers do not receive Patty requests, I would not be aware of a deadline or whether a Patty request was received.
So you're not aware of a Patty request that's relating to the submissions of the consultation?
I think I've already answered that question.
Okay. You had mentioned that you were going to release this report end of June. So are we still aiming for the end of June?
As we said, in the, which report are you referring
That's
to?
for them. So I think the submissions of the consultation, the primary schools.
The primary school proposal, we said that we will issue a report before the end of the school term. The end of the school term is June 29th.
Yeah, you're on course for that,
We
for
are.
that deadline? Great. Is there any update you can give me on the finances that have gone towards the education reform so far? I know we've talked and I've asked lots of occasions, and you've given some indication, but now we're this far down the road, can you give any more insight into how much has been spent on reform so far, and what the final figure is going to be?
I'm not quite understanding what you're asking here.
how much the government is spending on educational reform in Bermuda. How much has been spent to date? And if you have, I know when we had our interviews, you were very much talking, yes, that it was kind of a backwards process. You know, you set out what we want to do, and then you work backwards and work out how much that is going to be. And just, you know, it's a question now, it's a few months on since that interview, whether you can give any more insight into that.
I believe that we have answered questions to the Royal Gazette that you have asked about the monies that we spent on education reform already, and we have supplied those to you.
So there's no update you can give on the...
There is no update from
Okay.
the answers we've supplied earlier.
Okay, final question. You had talked also about the possibility of forming public-private partnerships to help fund education reform. Is there any progress on that so far? Have you made any
There is no
commitments?
updates to give on that at this
Okay,
moment.
thank you.
So you don't know what this reform's gonna cost? You must have some idea. When it started, and then of course as a result of the pandemic, it all changed.
Mr. Fox, please approach the mic to
Huh?
ask your question.
Minister, you know what's going on. Just, she's looking for a figure. You must have some idea.
Mr. Fox, I know you have, Mr. Fox, all of that information will be revealed as we release as we continue with our education reform.
Okay, I mean, because you know, you started down this program, education reform. Obviously it has to be paid for, so you must have had some idea, some, you know, ballpark figure. Can expect things could have changed because of the pandemic and all of that. All kinds of things have changed since. But I would have thought you had, you know, a ballpark figure of what the reform.
Mr. Fox, as we've consistently said with all of the things that we've done with education reform, as we are required to release the information will be released.
So you don't know what the costs are.
I did not say that, Mr. Fox.
Yeah, but you
said
must.
that.
You either know or you don't know, and it's
Mr.
public
Fox,
money. So
Mr.
it's a
Fox-
simple question.
Mr. Fox,
I would like to at this time remind the media to keep the questions within the scope of this press conference, which is the teacher's bonded certified loan. So I'm going to ask you, Mr. Fox, do you have any questions?
Oh, I do have questions about that, but you know, the whole point of a press conference is so the press can ask questions. You can't then tell me what questions to ask. It makes no sense. Might as well just send out a press release,
Please keep
right?
your
So don't do that. Let's go to this press conference. The Bermuda Union of Teachers, I assume, is on board with this plan.
I cannot speak for the Bermuda
In
Union
other
of
words,
Teachers.
they're normally, they're all normally interested in teachers getting training, further training, and normally so I would assume that there's been some consultation.
Mr. Fox, if it's helpful for you, my role when I was on the Board of Education was the representative for the Bermuda Union of Teachers. And on the Board of Education, I was the chair of the Scholarship Committee and supported the development of this policy.
So
Is that helpful?
the answer is yes, then.
I'm still not quite understanding what you mean. What we're talking about, providing a service to teachers who are hired by the Bermuda, the Department of Education, and giving them an opportunity to become certified. I'm sure that the Bermuda Union of Teachers would be very much in favor of this because that means there are more teachers that become part of their association.
Thank you for the answer. That's, there's time lost for students during the course of this pandemic in terms of their academics. I'm just wondering whether the ministry is confident that, the students will be able to keep up and do what's required over, the next year and a half, really.
And the answer to that is yes. We are confident.
Student vaccines, you were encouraging that for
Student.
students, student testing, sorry. You were encouraging this program for student testing. I think at one point it was like, you announced that there was a 31% figure, and then you said it was improved to 40%. Sorry.
Oh.
And
You're
I'm just checking to see if
You're
there was
referring to
further
the
improvement.
saliva screening program?
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
you didn't say that.
Well, sorry, but the question is, 31%, then it was 40%, has it improved?
Yes.
And can you give me some idea what that figure might be?
I believe it's just under 50% of our students have received parental consent.
So you're happy with the progress of this program then?
We are very happy with anything that we put in place to keep our schools safe and healthy.
Okay. The other thing is digital preparedness. You announced just recently a whole bunch of new laptops,
Chromebooks.
Chromebooks. And so the question is, is there going to be, do you expect even preparedness going forward? This is a digital world, so students across the world now pretty much all have access to this sort of thing. So do you feel that every student in Bermuda is going to be on equal footing in that regard?
I find it interesting that you talk about being prepared when we come to these things. I've given a ministerial statement 2 weeks ago that spoke directly to digital preparedness of our students, what will happen with the Chromebooks, and the types of programs that we plan to have in place, including the type of training that goes in with our teachers to ensure that they will be in place. And so the answer to your question is yes.
Equal preparedness.
We plan to have our students prepared for 21st century learning. That is the entire purpose of our education reform, Mr. Fox.
So I guess my point to you though is it across, or is it just going to be some students, or is it going to be all students?
As I stated in my ministerial statement that was released to the public, excluding ZBM, we expect all of our students to have devices eventually.
Okay. Minister, you seem to be taking a very confrontational
I'm not
stance.
taking a very
I'm just asking you a
confrontational-
simple question.
I'm just wondering why you would come to a press conference unprepared
Well, Minister,
and ask questions not about what we're talking about here. You're talking about everything else. But
Minister, the
please
reason why I'm
continue to
asking
go-
questions
please
is because
continue
it's a
to ask
press
the
conference.
questions. Please
That's
continue
what
to
press
ask the
do.
questions.
Press ask questions.
Ask the questions, Mr. Fox.
Right? So the simple question that I was asking you was whether everybody would be prepared on an equal footing. That's really what I was trying to find out.
Then
more than
ask
anything.
the question you want to answer to. We are putting things in place to ensure that our people are prepared to integrate digital learning within our system. We are putting that in place. Yes, so at some point in the future, everyone will be at the same level.
At some point in the future.
Yes, some point in the future.
So, okay. Minister, thank you.
At this point, we don't have any further media questions, so that concludes this press conference. Thank you.